Hello, I'm Teacher Robin. Welcome to another live streaming class. If this is your first time to join us, let me explain how the classes work. Today, our topic is possessives in English. If you have a question during the class, write your question in the comments and I'll answer it at the end of the class. I also have a few questions for you to check what you've learned at the end of the lesson, and you can write your answers in the comments section as well. So before we get started with today's topic, let's review what we learned last time. So if you were watching, last time we learned about, we did a complete review of all of the English tenses. So we looked at all of the tenses in the present, in the past, and in the future. So it was a very thorough review. If you missed the class and you want to watch it, go to the video section of our Facebook page and there you'll find all of our previous classes. So you can watch them again as many times as you want. You can pause, you can take notes, you can share them on your own Facebook page, or you can tag someone you think might want to watch the class. I see that some people are already joining us. Mohammed says hello. Okay, thank you for watching. Feel free to write more in the comments and I'll get to you. I'll answer your question as soon as I can. So today, let's start talking about the possessive form. But first, let's define what exactly it is. When do we use possessives in English? We use them to show ownership of something or possession. This is also known as the Saxon genitive. So the possessive or the Saxon genitive, it's the same thing. Okay? There are many different ways to form, there are different forms of the possessive, so we're going to look at all of them along with some examples, okay? So let's start with singular nouns. When you have a singular noun, to form the possessive, we simply add an apostrophe S at the end of the word. For example, Robin's car is green. John's jacket is brown. Emily's dog is black and white. So you see, we have the noun, in this case it's a proper noun, a person's name, and we just add apostrophe S to make it possessive. Okay, now let's look at singular compound nouns. So a compound noun is a noun made up of more than one word, okay? So when we have a compound noun, we add an apostrophe S to the last word in the noun altogether. So for example, we celebrate Christmas at my mother-in-law's house. So here the compound noun is three words, mother-in-law, which is all comes together to form one noun. So we add an apostrophe S after the word law, which is the last word in the compound noun. Okay, now let's do a reminder real quick of British English versus American English. Okay, one thing to remember, that in British English, they use the possessive to talk about specific locations. For example, the hairdressers and the butchers, okay? Here we use an apostrophe S. I'm going to the hairdressers. I'm going to buy some meat at the butcher's. In American English, we do not do this. It's simply the hairdresser and the butcher, okay? Something to keep in mind. Speaking of America, I see Armando is joining us from New York. Okay, very good. So thanks for watching. Now we're going to look at plural nouns. So when we have a plural noun, we don't add an apostrophe S, we simply add an apostrophe after the S, okay? Because plural nouns end in S already. Okay, for example, the kids' toys are on the floor. Here, kids, there are more than one, it's multiple. So we add this apostrophe here after the S. Okay, another example, I know all my friends' birthdays. Okay, so here you're talking about multiple friends, all of them together. So you add an apostrophe after the S. Okay, separate possession. Here, when we have multiple nouns in one sentence and they each have a separate possession, then we add an apostrophe S after each noun. Okay, so let me explain why we do this. Let's look at an example. Bob's and Lisa's cars are very expensive. In this case, Bob has a car and Lisa has a car, but it's not the same car, it's separate. So here we add an apostrophe S after Bob and an apostrophe S after Lisa because we're talking about two different cars. Bob's and Lisa's cars are very expensive. Okay? I see that إليك and Sanaz have joined us. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. They said hello. Okay, very good. All right, now let's look at multiple nouns. So when we have multiple nouns, but they have the same possession, then we simply add an apostrophe S after the last noun. So this is different from separate possession, okay? For example, Bob and Susie's house is very big. The house, in this case, belongs to both Bob and Susie. So we put them together, and since Susie is the last noun in the... I see something is happening with the TV. Okay, maybe we can change it. 1 second. All right, I'm sorry about this. I don't know what happened. All right, here we go. Please excuse the interruption. Our TV went a little crazy. So as I was saying, multiple nouns. Okay, so Lucy and Ethan's children are very polite. Okay, so in this case, Lucy and Ethan, the children are theirs. They're both Lucy's and Ethan's. Okay, so we put an apostrophe S at the end of the last person that you're talking about. In this case, it's Ethan. Okay, so Lucy and Ethan's children are very polite. Okay, now let's look at proper names ending in S. Now remember, a proper name is either a person's name or the name of a place. Okay, here if the proper name ends in an S, then we simply add an apostrophe at the end. For example, Texas's weather is unpredictable in the winter. Okay, so Texas is a state, that's where I'm from. It already ends in an S, so there's no need to add an additional apostrophe S. So we simply add an apostrophe after the S. But you hear in the pronunciation, if the noun is Texas, we say Texas's. So it's sort of that extra Z sound. Okay? The same with Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones's cat is very old. Okay? So Jones ends in an S. We add an apostrophe at the end after the S. Okay, Caro says thanks and that he's learning about English accents. Okay, very good. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's talk about irregular nouns. There are some irregular nouns in English, and with irregular nouns, we simply add an apostrophe S. Okay, irregular nouns are like children. Okay, in English, we don't say childs, we say children. Okay, person, the plural is people, so peoples, and then man, the plural of man is men. So men's, children's with an apostrophe S, people's, and men's. Okay, now let's look at how to write abbreviations and apostrophes with single letters and numbers. For example, do you know your ABCs? Here we put an apostrophe S after the ABCs, which means do you know how to spell, basically. Okay, mind your P's and Q's. This is an expression which means be polite. So here with the letter P and the letter Q, we add an apostrophe S. Okay, and when we're talking about dates, for example, I was born in the 1980s, we put an apostrophe S after the number. Okay, so 1980 apostrophe S. I was born in the 1980s. Okay, let's look at some situations where we do not use an apostrophe. For example, to make a regular noun or a proper name plural, we do not use an apostrophe. For example, the Wilsons are my neighbors. This is the family name. The family name is Wilson, but here we do not add an apostrophe. We simply just add an S. The Wilsons are my neighbors, not an apostrophe S, okay? Many people make this mistake, but keep in mind, it's not necessary to use an apostrophe. We do use an apostrophe, on the other hand, with contractions. For example, it is, the contraction is its, do not, the contraction is don't, and would not, the contraction is wouldn't. So in these cases, we do use an apostrophe. Okay, now we're going to look at possessive adjectives and possessive pronouns. Possessive adjectives come before the noun and show possession. So for example, if the subject is I, then the possessive adjective is my, you is yours, he, his, her, hers, it, its, okay? And then our and their. Okay, so for example, my gloves are red. So the gloves belong to me, my gloves, okay? Now let's look at possessive pronouns. So in this case, we use possessive pronouns to replace the noun, okay? So the noun does not appear in the sentence. So the possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. For example, this phone is mine. Okay, so the phone belongs to me. This phone is mine. Okay, so now that we've learned all of the different forms of the possessive, let's practice together. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions and you can write your answers in the comments, okay? My first question, write an example or a sentence using a possessive pronoun. So do you remember the difference between possessive pronouns, possessive adjectives? We just talked about it. So if you can think of an example, then write a sentence using a possessive pronoun. My second question, write a sentence using a possessive adjective, okay? And finally, write a sentence using an apostrophe, okay? So write as many examples as you would like, as you can, okay? And as you're doing that, let me tell you more about our course here at ABBA. We have a complete course from beginners to business level featuring 144 units. Each unit has a video class, a short film, and exercises to help you practice your English. So if you study with us, you can start out as a free student, then you'll have access to all of the video classes as well as the first unit of each level. If you then decide to go premium, you'll have access to all of the course content and you'll be assigned a teacher like me who you can write to anytime you have a question. Okay, if you use our course, you can study from your PC, your Mac, or your smartphone, or your tablet, and your progress is saved on all of these devices. So it's a very flexible way for you to study anywhere and anytime. Okay, in addition to our course, we have many other free resources for you to practice your English, like our blog, which is our ABBA journal. Here you can find articles about grammar, culture, English for business, English for travel. You'll see in the comments we posted some useful links to our blog, which have articles related to today's topic, possessives. On our Facebook page, you can find our live streaming classes, which we now do twice a week, so you can participate in those. You'll find the calendar for these classes posted at the top of our Facebook page as well. And we have a Twitter page and a YouTube channel. So lots and lots of resources. So you'll see in the comments, you have a link to sign up for the course. You have a link to the PDF to download the PDF of this lesson if you want to follow along or save it for your notes. And you also have links to our blog articles if you want to review more on this topic. Okay? So now let's see who's joining us today and what questions or comments do you have. I see Dogan has joined us from Turkey. Okay, great. Someone has given an example that says the bag is mine. Okay, great. That's a great example of a possessive pronoun. Good. All right, so as you are writing more comments, let me tell you about our next topic. So in our next class, Teacher Dell is going to talk about how to rent an apartment in English, okay? So imagine you move to an English-speaking country or you're going on vacation for an extended period of time, then you might need to rent an apartment or some sort of accommodation, house, etc. So she's going to take you through all of the steps on how to do that. So a really useful class. So make sure that you mark your calendar, check our calendar on Facebook so you can see the date, the time, and the topic of each class as we do change a little bit. Okay, I see Lukman says, my car is so fast. Good. And my car is white. Good examples. Okay. Great. Remember that you can also turn on your Facebook notifications to receive a message anytime we're live streaming. So there's plenty of ways to remind yourself about the class. But if you can't watch it while it's live, remember you can always go to the video section of our Facebook page to find all of our previous classes there. So If there are no more comments at this time, then we'll finish the class for today. I want to apologize again for that little interruption. Hopefully that won't happen again, but thank you for bearing with us and continuing to watch the class. So I hope this has been useful for you, and I hope to see you next time. So take care and have a great rest of your day. Bye!